OpenMapKit came about from an idea that we wanted to, the Red Cross, we use OpenDataKit a lot to do structured surveys for baseline surveys, to do household surveys. So we'll go to an area and we'll do household surveys of 6,000 or 10,000 different households. So you're looking at 40 to 50,000 people that we now have information about, that we are able then to prioritize our planning. So when we do that baseline survey, are they identifying issues around water sanitation? Are they identifying issues around livelihoods, so jobs? Are they identifying issues around climate change? Or what are those issues that are important to them, that they feel are important, that we base with our other secondary data? That's what we try and address. But one of the things we increasingly came around was that there's as big OpenStreetMap consumers and editors, I think some of the folks in our team are huge editors. We needed a better way to sort of do that in a mobile context. And that came out of the OpenStreetMap damage assessment, sort of the quality assessment that we did after Typhoon Haiyan. When OpenStreetMap, and specifically HOT, was asked to do a damage assessment of how good HOT folks were at determining building damage after Typhoon Haiyan using post-disaster imagery. We put somebody on a plane. We did a really good structured survey, partnered with USAID and REACH. What we ended up doing was what we ended up finding was that only 30% of the results were good. So a full 70% of the results were sort of terrible. So and during that process as well, like just even doing that structured survey, we sort of figured out that our tool for actually even doing that survey, sort of the meta survey of how well it was doing, was even more terrible. We ended up losing like hundreds of results because volunteers transcribed the way IDs incorrectly because they had to like write it by hand on field papers. And so we lost like all of these edits. And so we went back to USAID, who we were working with at the time, and we said, hey, look, we need a new app that can do this. So for very rapid damage assessments, you can click on a building and do a structured survey about that building. Nothing like that existed. There's lots of good-ish OpenStreetMap editors for the phone, right? Vespucci is one. There's like a million of them, right? But none of them sort of really got to our need to have a structured survey. You need to answer these questions. You need to have these options. Because the tagging scheme in the Philippines is different than the tagging scheme in Nepal, which is different than the tagging scheme in DC, which is different than the tagging scheme in Dhaka. So we need to have a way to sort of get at those community-driven tagging schemes, and then also sort of apply our own sort of structure to it. Because when we think about doing structured surveys, we think about the data going into buckets. The only way that we can sort of make decisions is if we're looking at options A through D, and we get a response that's Y, then we can't do anything with that question really, because the Y response is invaluable to us. Because maybe it's a misspelled word, or it sort of just doesn't fit in with what the community has told us are our priorities and other things. So that's our OpenMapKit. It's a very structured survey. We originally started to look at, right when we started to do the development, John Nordling was at the University of Maryland. He came out with geocoded, and we were like, oh yeah, this is awesome. This is like half our work. This is gonna what do we even need to hire these spatial dev guys for? This is it's already all done. So then we sort of dug into it, and it sort of didn't meet our needs because geocoded was a fork of ODK, and we wanted to stay sort of mainline with ODK because we wanted to we wanted to be able to do our other questions around humanitarian needs, around Red Cross needs, that were not just about OSM. So while OpenMapKit has the ability to do OSM, it also has the ability to do sort of humanitarian questions. So that when we go to a household, we go there once, and we ask them the gazillion questions we ask about their household, and then we also ask 5, 10 questions about their building that they live in, their shelter that they live in. And then also maybe buildings around them, so the churches, the schools, the businesses, and all of that information. So with that, I'm just going to do a quick run through of some quick slides, and then I'm going to hand it off to the great guys at Spatial Dev. So this shows some training that we did a few weeks ago. OpenMapKit is scheduled to be done for June 1st, really, when we're going to be going to DACA, and that's when that was the project. And I said a few months ago, I said to Jubal and the guys at Spatial Dev, I said, so we're going to take it to Zimbabwe in March. I wish I had actually taken a screenshot of Jubal's response on Skype. There were lots of curse words of "we are not ready, we are not ready." It's going to look silly, but we took it anyway, and it was awesome. We ended up iterating like 4 or 5 times that week on the app, taking real-time feedback from the field and doing new versions that we were pushing out to the users as their feedback was coming in, saying, "Oh, this button doesn't work," or "this needs to work," or "this needs to work a little bit better." So it ended up being a great exercise. It also was our chance to sort of try it with field papers. So here you're seeing folks learn field papers in a neighborhood called Zimbabwe in Harare, Zimbabwe. Here you're seeing them work together to plan. You're seeing OpenStreetMap that we trace, buildings and roads, and then there's sort of basically no context there. There's no names or anything. And then there's, can you find one spot, please? Find one spot. This is my word is. Thank you. Here you're seeing Drishti, one of our team members, who's actually in Rwanda right now on the Burundi border doing some hot work with OpenMapKit and with field papers, tracing communities that are being affected by the Burundi refugee crisis. Here you're seeing our field team. We were very good about putting the Red Cross on our folks. So when we go out, you will definitely know that we are there. So here, this is field papers again. What's better than a small map atlas, a really big map atlas, right? So we literally taped this to the side of the Red Cross Land Cruiser and drove around, so whenever we saw the field teams and they were trying to figure out where they were, we could just take their tile, and it was almost like 1-to-1 scale. So this is OpenMapKit. It's a little hard to see here, but here you see field papers, and then you see OpenMapKit on a phone. The OpenMapKit survey that we ended up doing for this area, we only did buildings. There are many other things you can do with OpenMapKit, but that was really the one that we wanted to do in this area, was buildings. Here you're seeing us check in the middle of the day, just sort of planning out the next squares. And here you're seeing volunteers enter in data into JOSM, not ID. The internet is kind of terrible in Harare, so straight into JOSM to show them to get them updating their field papers into OpenStreetMap. Here's one of those field papers. It's very busy. There's lots of stuff on it. And then let's see. So what I wanted to show now is actually what we were able to do with some of the data. So we asked a few questions, and one of them was, let's see, so this is Zimbabwe after we finish tracing. So this is a really nice polished Illustrator map, but this is Zimbabwe now. So every street, sort of polished up and clean. Let's see, we have, let's do this one. So this shows housing quality. So in OpenStreetMap, there's this idea that I think it's building condition, which is grew out of the work that the World Bank was doing at DACA. So here you're seeing, this is data that's in OpenStreetMap. So yellow is average, green is good, and red is poor for building condition. So right away, when on the first day after we'd gotten the results back from OpenMapKit, I was sitting down with the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe Red Cross, and I said, we haven't had a chance to analyze this data or whatever. Let's just see. I hadn't done anything, and I said, let's just see what the data shows us. Let's see if we can pull out some trends or whatever. And I just put this in there, hoping that it would show this trend. In JOSM, I just did a search query and pulled it out, and it was needless to say, we're invited back to Zimbabwe anytime we want to go. Instantaneously, the data from, not even like cleaned up to put into OpenStreetMap yet, it was still in like an OSM file, showed directly where we need to start working with folks. But then the real change was when we took this data and we compared it to housing type. So here's, orange buildings are, let's see if I remember, there's brick. Purple buildings are concrete. And if you remember, let's see if I can do all this with one hand here. So if we zoom in here, so there's red buildings on the map, and these purple buildings on the map almost exactly correlate. So the purple is concrete buildings, and so now we have, not only do we know the house of quality, now we know the exact type of house that we should be, people that we should be working with around shelter issues. We know that these, and this is sort of a history thing, these concrete houses are the only ones that are left after the government bulldozed a lot of other ones. So these are the ones that were left in the old part. So you're seeing these are the much older homes. These are also the homes that sort of need the most help. And then when we mix that up with our data about poverty and household survey, we saw another direct correlation. So we're able to sort of see all of this information together. We showed this to the City of Harare government, and they were quite impressed. And they said, oh, you know, can you get us road data as well? So we started pulling road data. So this shows like I think the pavement type or the road type. So the green are in paved roads, which are not necessarily good condition. We have condition as well, but we didn't make a map of it yet. Orange is like dirt roads and stuff like that. And then the City of Harare saw this map and they said, you know, it would be really great. Could we get manhole covers? Sure, fine. We'll get you manhole covers. So we got manhole covers, and then they said, you know what? Can we have? Can you get us water meters? We need to know where all the water meters are. And we said, why do you need to know where the water meters are? We've heard that the water quality from the city is not good in Zimbabwe. They said, oh, we want to go. You know, we need to go collect revenue. We need to go ask those people for their bills if they have the water meter. And so this is where the Red Cross, we're going to say, nope, not going to collect water meter data. Like that, yes, it has value for you, but it doesn't have. It's going to put us in a weird position with our trust with the community. So you know, the City of Harare is welcome to go collect whatever data they want in the City of Harare, but they will not have the Red Cross help to do so. Now I'm going to show one more map here if I can pull it out of my. So the before and after for this area, I think a lot of before and after maps are great and brilliant, but I think once you do the before and after sort of at this detail, it is really stark. So this is Zimbabwe before. This is like the FOSSM data, so it's a little old, but it is pretty true to what was there. We remotely traced basically this area using a lot of students at GW. Thank you, GW, George Washington University, right here in town. And then, so we did, so this is Zimbabwe, and as you really start to get into it, you know, there's a lot of data here, and then you start to see even more data, and then the real thing for me is when all the addresses pop up. We now have every address in Zimbabwe, or almost every address in Zimbabwe. So we know the address, the building type, the building construction materials. We also know every water point and all this data that was collected sort of in a week of being in the field for a community of 50,000 people. And it's being used to design our programs. So this is like the why of OpenMapKit. We are using it extensively and will be using it extensively in every project that we do moving forward. Every field survey that we do for baseline surveys will have an OpenMapKit component. So every time we go out to the Red Cross and do surveys, we'll be getting information and feeding that back into OpenStreetMap. So, Nick, are you ready?